really on the attack, so we got right. Don't be disrespectful for them. And I gave you a rundown on most of the 35 riders that are in this breakaway group. But the wind is not troubling them at the moment. It's when they're going to swing round shortly that they'll start riding into the headwind. And certainly the group you see here do not contain one or two riders if we look down the general classification, Javier Pascual, Bernesto, Andrea Cloden from Telecom is not in this group. He was there this morning in fifth spot, previous winner of the París-Niza just a couple of years ago. The man who won it last year, Dario Friggio from the Tacconi team, he is also having started this morning at 21 seconds down. He's not in this break, nor is Alex Zuller from the Coast team, 21 seconds down this morning in seventh spot. So one or two riders who've not made it today, and somehow I think we might find the situation changing. Do you think this is going to be just a matter of this lot nipping off down the road, and both Jalabert and Roos are going to be destined to die and not survive out there? How do you read it, Sean?
Well, they've got down the road because they formed an echelon. I heard on the race radio that the Bonjour team formed an echelon, so we understood it was headwind most of the time, but they must have turned about where they got some side wind, and they actually formed an echelon. As you said, there's 5 of the Bonjour riders up there, and there's some of the guys that get caught out. It proves like Cloden got caught out, and a few other riders who were not maybe specialists in the wind, but definitely they did form an echelon, and that's how they're up the road with this group of riders.
Now then, is it dangerous to leave it this late in the race? We're seeing so many teams here now to sort of hit the panic button. And would you, looking at the race this morning, have expected a group this size, including people like the yellow jersey, to go away, or was it all towards the back end? It seems a very, very strange day's racing to me, Sean. What were the sort of feelings of the chaps you spoke to this morning? I see you were speaking to lots and lots of managers and riders.
Well, I think this is a surprise what we see here, to see the yellow jersey up the road in a 35-man group, and some of the other favourites, the likes of Jalabert, who was second in general. I think the Bonjour riders and the team, they have surprised a lot of people, but it's not a bad thing to do, because if they stay back in the bunch, in the main bunch, well, they're going to be attacks and there's going to be breaking up the road, so they've got to ride anyway. While here they're riding up the front, and the rest of the bunch have to ride behind the people who missed the break. The riders, their teams have got to ride, so everybody have got to do their work, where if the peloton stay together in a break up the road, well, then they would leave it all to the Bonjour riders, and Bernardo was very concerned about that. I see him in the car park this morning at the start. He was going around to the other managers and saying, what are you going to do? I see him talking to Johnny Wells, and he was saying, well, I hope you're going to, give a hand out to control the race, because you can win the race as well with Jalabert. He's, in a perfect position, and so he was looking for all sorts of help from the teams that were present up there in the general.
You don't see me say before the start managers have a little bit of collusion, do you, Sean?
Well, it's normal. If you look at the CSC team and Jalabert, they've got to ride here because they can win the race. So it should not be left down to the Bonjour team of Bernardo and Roos to do all the work, but sometimes they try and do that. They let the team work and they get tired and then they hit them, but as a team manager, that's your job, to try and get the other teams to give you a hand out as well, because they also have the interests in the race.
When there's teams like that, I know certain managers, certain riders have an affinity with each other, but aren't they trying to put the mockers on the Germans, the Coast team, and also try and sort out the Italians, Alessio, with the jersey? Is this sort of also the team say, well, we won't work with him, but we'll work with them? Is there that, or does the needs must, the devil will then play his own game? I mean, is there any way we'll work with them but not with somebody else?
Well, that is true. Some of the managers have a better relationship than with others, and often that is the case. They work together. But it's a standard procedure here. When you have the general classement, as I said, with Jalabert up there, very, very close. I think it's normal that you would expect some of the riders from CSC to ride here, and it is surprising that we have quite a number of the CSC riders and the Bonjour riders. So maybe there were some arrangement there. They wouldn't form an echelon and try and break the thing up, and not to give the other riders, as they say, a handy ride to the finish.
Well, I won't say exactly. You can read all about it in next week's issue of Bonjour, by the way, because it isn't a newspaper that has sort of lurid stories in it and up-to-date information about the sports results and so on. It is one of these newspapers that circulated full of advertisements for new cars, second-hand cars, motorcycles, houses to sale, rented to sale, flats as well. Lots of useful information in here, and of course the usual anguish columns as well for the Lonely Hearts clubs and everything else in there. And the local issue here in Aix-en-Provence, I picked one up this morning. It is free, by the way. You'll see them outside the shops in special dispensers. And I found one this morning on the net. Is www.bonjour.fr for France, if you want to go and have a look at it. And they have they boast they've only got 750,000 readers in this part of the world around Aix-en-Provence. So it's a very widely spread newspaper. I'm sure that come the end of this race they might find a little bit of space somewhere to say well done to Rousse, who's got that yellow jersey, and the team now doing what they can to defend it and helping Jalabert in second position overall to put the mockers on the chasers. Well, they certainly are motoring on here. The Bonjour team in the blue on the front, really going like a dose of salts. They're all dressed in blue, as you can see there, and got blue shorts as well. And they've got, what, at least 5 men up there. In fact, you can count it as 6 because Rousse, who rides for the team, is in the yellow jersey. Just to confuse everybody, he has red shorts. Normally they have the same strip, but in his case, as he is the champion of France, he's had a red, white and blue strip, and that meant he had red shorts, just to confuse everybody. So if you look further back for the yellow jersey, the fact he hasn't got blue shorts is that he's the champion of France, and he's in that group put together with Jalabert, and they're being infiltrated by 1 or 2 other riders. They're doing a wonderful job here and really motoring along. And the last time check we had, Sean, did you get it?
Around 150.
So 1 minute 50 seconds. In fact, it is growing, and there should be some tired legs, I think, here by the time they get to the climbs yet to come. But we've got a fairly fastish section now. The Côte de Bousset, which is the 3rd category climb with 28 kilometres from the finish. It's a bit of no man's land here. They got about sort of 20 kilometres of the conditions you can see here. But it's come down to 1 minute 40, I think, at the moment, back to the main field. But the climb, the Côte de Bousset, a 3rd category climb, it's just a bit drag. There's nothing significant about it at all. And I don't think we'll see much change on that. We'll have to wait until we get 21 kilometres, and it's going to get some work, I think, to go across that one. But Sean, nearly 2 minutes. That climb up the Mont Faron, you know something about it. Would you rate it's possible to pull back 2 minutes for, say, something like Zulla to go across, or Frigo to go across to what will be now the remnants of this group when we get there? Is it possible at 2 minutes on that climb?
No, it's not at all possible. 2 minutes on a Jalabert or on a Rousse, it's just impossible. And you have still some other very good riders up there. So if you arrive at the bottom of the Faron with 2 minutes, and for the like of Zulli, it's just impossible to gain that sort of ground on that distance of a climb. So if it holds out at that for 2 minutes, well, it's the general classement for Zulli and those guys who missed this move. It's going to be a disaster.
Disaster in more ways than one, because isn't it something at stake with the Tour de France?
Well, yes, it definitely is. With the organisation, the Tour de France organisation taking over the organisation of this one, there seem to be more of interest in it. They say that, well, whoever wins the Tour of the París-Niza, they will have a very good chance of getting into the Tour de France. They'll probably get a place. So if like a Bonjour could win it, well, then I think they would be guaranteed a place in the Tour de France, one of these wild cards.
That's also, I can see up there trying with them in the red and the yellow. That's the team Big Mat Aubert 93. That's the team that sponsors Britain's own Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy, the British national champion, has been going well for them so far this year. Not perhaps as sharp as he would have liked, but he's been there or thereabouts. Wasn't selected for this race, and again they've got to get in the Tour de France. In fact, it's been said by the sponsors and by the management that if they don't, the Auger team get in, as Big Mat Auger get into Tour de France, then you can say curtains to sponsorship next year. On the centre of your pictures there, that's the yellow jersey of Rousse, just tracking Laurent Jalabert. The two of them following each other like Batman and Boyd Robin. That's Voigt in the yellow and the green. Voigt again is quite well placed on the general classification. I should think he can take over the driving a bit later on. Voigt this morning 13th overall, 27 seconds down, but leaving the work to the Bonjour, the CSC, and interesting too, Sean, I can see the pink jerseys coming through here for the Telecom, just hanging about near the front. Well, there, top man Cloden in number 41. I don't think he's in this break, is he, at the moment? We've got so many numbers scribbled down here that he's missed this particular break. So they've really, I suppose, got to throw him to the lions, really, the way it's going. And McLeod would have been looking, I think, for some support, but that chap in pink's prepared to go for it. Oh, yes. I got it wrong. You wrote the numbers down, I wrote half them down.
Yes, well, we did not get the number of Cloden in this breakaway, but we had Vinocroft, so maybe they're playing that card. We see Vinocroft, he was very active yesterday, that final climb at the top. He turned it on and he blew the group, a lot of riders out of the rear of what was left of the bunch, so maybe he is that best card. And we haven't seen Cloden, we did not see him yesterday very much, but he's that type of rider as well. He sits back and he just follows. When he won 2 years ago, we never really see him, and a lot of people talked about that he never contributed to the race, never done anything, and won on cold days.
Well, there we are, 31 kilometres to go. That's through Brûle-Castellet, and they're coming up then 28 kilometres to go, the Côte de Beausset. They've turned a sharp left and have come past a very interesting sign that we saw on the side there. It's memorial, that fascinating this part of the world, we see them battling away here, that there was a memorial there for the regiment, the 3rd Regiment of the Algerians that came through here, and the first battle was fought out just down there, about 10 kilometres back from where we're here, when they turned left. And the tirailleurs from the Algerians, oops, problems here, and it's Jalabert.
Yes, I wonder is it a mechanical problem, is it a bike change for Mont Faron? I would reckon it's a special lighter bike for the Faron.
Certainly didn't see him doing anything, did you? He jumped up, but would you have done it at this particular point before this? It's only a 3rd category drag, isn't it? And he's sharply back through the crowd. He's quite right. Jalabert's well known to change it. Now this is, can I get on my favourite hobby horse? Why not, say the public? Light bikes, UCI, can't have it 7 kilos, 7.1 kilos, zips, that's the maximum. I always thought, well, how the hell do you manage to weigh all the bikes? I mean, do you weigh every bike, weigh the bikes on the top of the car? Do you weigh them when they finish? Do you weigh them when they've started? Do you weigh them with the feeding bottles or without the feeding bottles? And he's got his number on this bike, so that does say, Sean, that he has got a special light bike. And in fact, looking at those wheels, 2, I think. Got to wait for Jalabert to come back into this little group now. He got off his bike, changed his bike, and intriguing enough, there was a number already on it. So it looked like it might have been a change that was made by the team specifically for the final climb yet to come. And the bunch now 2:30 back. The yellow jersey in the lead group, so there he is on your screen at the moment. And with the good force from the French. This is the 3rd category climb, 1 kilometre to go. So with Bonjour working hard, the team, and here you see Big Matt Auger having a go as well. Credit Agricole on the front. So the French now, and this they're one of their most favourite races, but certainly opening up the season as far as we're concerned. The viewers of Eurosport, our coverage of the Paris-Niza being brought to. This is the 60th Paris-Niza. This is the stage for the race from Pertuis to Mont Faron, 175 kilometres. That's 109 miles on this what has been a very significant stage. Yesterday wasn't so significant. If you missed the start of our programme, just to confirm that we had something like about 50 riders all finished within 10 seconds of the leader, which was Jalabert, who won the stage. Roos was 2nd, taking over the yellow jersey. Oza was 3rd, and 10 seconds back was a group led in by Van Petegem, a whole gaggle of riders, including people like Joe Plankert from Cofidis, who was in the polka dot jersey, but he lost that one on the stage. But now, as he's now back in that bunch, I'm sure a lot of tired legs there, and everybody else waiting for somebody else to do the work. But the gap is growing all the time, and some of the chaps on the general classification, let me confirm for you just what the situation is if you just tuned in. Roos is in the yellow jersey, 2 seconds ahead of Laurent Jalabert for the CSC team. And back in 3rd spot is Javier Pascual from the Benesto squad at 20 seconds this morning. Juan Carlos Dominguez from Fonac at 20 seconds this morning. Clodum was in 5th spot at 20 seconds, and virtually the same was for Frigo. Then there was Zuller, Cuesta, Osa, Vicioso, Luttenberg, and so on, all the way down. And some of them have made this break, some of them haven't, so we could see a complete change in the situation with the CSC driving away on the front. and the Bonjour riders probably coming through to have a go. We saw, let me go back to the start in case you just joined us, we saw 13 men start the action this morning with 20 kilometres under their belt. They were joined by another couple when Ferrigato and Cioni went across to join them, and then later on another group of some 20 riders came up to them, giving us 35 riders in the leading group. We've lost one or two of them on the undulations to get to this particular part, and now it's significant then that the key players, Jalabert and Roos, are in this break here. Wunderkraft also looking good for the Deutsche Telekom team. I think he's probably the only one they've got in this little break at the moment, and you can see there that they have gone now, what, 100 and just check the distance for you, 143 kilometres Côte de Beausset. The actual town of Le Beausset, 146. They're going to swing left and head up toward the top of the Côte de Saint and Evenos, and they were getting up very quickly then towards the 25 kilometres to go. Sean, with all your experience and looking at the time gap, do you think there's any way that main peloton is now going to catch this little group? It seems to be growing rather than coming down.
Well, it's going to be, it seems very unlikely that it will catch them. They were holding there for a while, but now the gap seems to be growing all the time, and 2.5 minutes. It's a major problem, major disaster, as we said, for the likes of Azzurro and Claude and Basso seem to have missed it. So a lot of the favourites have missed it. So it definitely looks like, as we heard on race radio, it was they formed an echelon and they caught a lot of the favourites by surprise.
Well, I got caught by surprise when I was talking about a memorial to the 3rd Regiment of the Algerians that were fighting here with another regiment, two of the Spires, when they took part in the battle. This was way back in the 20th of August 1944, and the first combat of the Algerians on French soil, and they won that battle there, and it opened up the way into Marseille in the Second World War, and that's why the memorial was out there. I mention these things from time to time because it's amazing over the winter. We've had plenty of time to sit at home and watch the telly, the amount of programs there are about the Second World War. It seems to have caught the imagination of many of the program producers, including that great film Band of Brothers, which much of it was filmed, well, not all of it, large of it was showing the battles which raged out down Bastogne and round there, where those of you who watch our Liège, Bastogne, Liège will have known perhaps some of the names on the screen there. So if I stray off the straight and narrow, please forgive me from time to time, and also I won't have time for today, I don't think, because I did get a little message from Jeff Maxted through on the emails to say what's happened to the cheese. We've heard about the wine but not the cheese. Well, today I don't think it's going to be the day, Jeff, because it's really hammer and tongs. If I can refer to it. It's been jolly nice. I had a nice goat cheese last night, a cream goat cheese to finish off with, but we're back with the racing here, and also we've had more information about the technical side and questions too, particularly from Dean Hartnett about the use of 26-inch racing wheels versus the 2070. It may not be the day today to do all that. We'll do what we can to answer your emails, but mainly we'll try and watch what's happening here as we're getting toward the critical part with about 25 kilometres to go.
Who's that there?
Oscar Cummins, the 98 world champion from the Phonak team.
Phonak? The digital hearing aids? I've heard of them. My hearing specialist has just recommended them to me. If you want to improve your hearing, see your specialist for Phonak hearing systems.
Phonak. We race for better hearing.
Well, this group of riders here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Well, there must be at least 25 to 30 of the original 35. So we haven't shelled out too many of them, and I think to name and identify every particular one will occupy a whole page of your school book there if you're going to jot them down. I think we'll just wait a bit as we're now tackling this climb here, which you see on your screen, which will begin to shred them a bit, I think, and the strongmen who haven't been working hard are likely now to start to come through and try and put a bit of pressure on, because you can see one or two at the back here, and that strikes you a bit dangerous at the bottom of the climb to drift this far back with such a big bunch. Sean, is it like this bit on this second category climb up to the top of the Côte de Saint d'Evenos?
Well, I think this group now, it's it's after settling down to a pace, and you know, you've got to get drinks. Yeah, there haven't been much have an occasion up to now, so you know, the team, possibly the team mates of the team riders, we've seen Alessio guy there back. He's probably, you know, peloton bunched up 3 minutes, we see, so it's growing all the time. But you know, now is a chance to come back when on the climb, and it's not that too dangerous really, because a group of, as I said, around 30 riders, it's feasible.
Well, so 3 minutes back to the peloton. Looks like it's over and done with then, and Sean seems to think they weren't going to catch him from here on in. Therefore the question is, who's going to get the stage, who's going to keep that yellow jersey or lose it? But certainly Jalabert having dogged or being dogged by Roos, fighting out their own dual battle here, but they've got to be very careful about other riders round about. But I don't think Voigt, for instance, has got the ability to climb with those two riders, and so it may be then up to somebody like Brunocroft to try and catch Nabbing. The Bonjour riders are beginning to slide back off the front of that group as we're picking up some of the rugged cliffs around here. Nice sort of chalky soil it is, and we've actually come through the vineyards further back. It's a delightful part of the world. No time to dwell on the food and wine at the moment. We're deeply into the action of the race, because when they get to the top of here, just 21 kilometres left on the run down towards the finish. Looking through the teams here, we've been naming some of the teams in this race over the period of the last few days on the Pyrenees, and my thanks for the email from John Adams talking about the Polte team. Now, they packed it up a couple of years ago. There's quite a number of people come in and they decide, well, we've had enough experience, enough exposure now, so we're not going on with the race. And they had, of course, Baron riding for the short while, and they did ride copy bikes. And he's asking me, does anybody use the copy bikes now? Well, certainly I've not seen them in the major races so far this season in the first division or second division teams. I have a complete list, John, of all the teams and all equipment. I'll try and dive through that one to find out, but I certainly haven't actually seen it visually. We'll do what we can to find out for you the copy bikes as to see if they're still being used by the top teams. Certainly not in the first division, but I'll look back in the second division then. Well, the suffering beginning to happen now. You can see drifting off here, having a few problems there. Van Hifter from the CSC team, and here were also the Bonjour boys. They've done a wonderful job. This is the moment. The Auger team also drifting up one by one. These are the chaps who've been driving the brake as hard as they can do. It's not working now as far as they're concerned. They've done all they can do to take it away. Johansen from the CSC also now having drifted off, and now it looks as if the Big Mat riders are beginning to put a pressure on the front. A surprising action here, but perhaps they're looking for a stage victory. Oh, problems here. Looks like he's also taking a bit of a hammering now, and that's a Shrek from the Telecom team.
Surprising to see the teams, or the smaller teams, with quite a number of riders up there. You know, we see Big Mat, they have 4 riders up there, and Bonjour have 5, of course. But I think the teams that are looking for a place in the Tour of France, they seem to be more riders present up in this group than the teams who have qualified already.
Well, again, Big Mat Auger, I mentioned earlier in the programme, they've got to try and do what they can then to get themselves selected for the Tour de France, and this is one of the recent additions to that team. Garcia Casas, Felix Garcia Casas, the Spanish rider from Big Mat. Spanish always come into their own when it comes to climbs like this. See on your screen then how we're getting close towards the end. They're riding, by the way, on BMC bikes. If our cameras go close to this one, they've got some very strange lugs into which the tubes are fitted, and the lugs have got holes in it, bits like sort of triangulated gorgonzola. And in fact, in the head too, they've got bits cut out and a bit of carbon fibre put inside in a sort of tube just to fill in the gaps where they've shredded the headset too. The front forks are carbon, the back change stage and seat stage also carbon, but a very intriguing, unusual. On the bottom bracket, it really looks like a bit of the fourth bridge they've cut out and stuck all the bits of tubing in, so I've never seen before. And if our cameras go down there, you'll see very unusual looking bikes indeed. In fact, my mistake, because Big Mat Auger are not on that. It's the Phonak riders on the BMC bike. We'll come back to that one later on then when we pick up the Phonak ride, but they're all out there on strange and weird and wonderful. Everybody trying to find a little bit more advantage, but you've still got to pedal the darn things. And Auger now disappeared off down the road. In fact, he is on a Gitane bike, says he's flicking through his notes. Gitane coming back into the sport yet again in sponsorship, but going with the French team, Big Mat Jalabert 93. And Bruce going to the front, driving this one along a bit. We seem to have lost radio too, and I've got something in my ears, Sean, that sounds a bit like local taxi service. Can you hear what it is? Or is it somebody else taking over? It certainly isn't, it's not radio tour.
Somebody looking for a taxi.
Where is he? He hasn't stopped talking. He's even worse than me.
Maybe some of the riders looking for a taxi.
I don't. And he's getting in the way of the race radio too, so I think we've probably got confusion across one of the local radio here. Still in Garcia Casas going away then.
And surprising to see the yellow jersey on the front there setting the pace. We see on the group behind Garcia Casas. Rouge is setting the pace with Jalabert in his wheel. So, you know, it's surprised that he set the pace so early after this guy. One man up the road is not really a major problem for the moment, but he must be feeling quite good when he's out to set the pace at this stage, because it's really down to the final run up the Mont Faron.
Well, it's whittling itself down, but at the back there, Cioni from the Mappe team is the only one left on this part of the course now. He went after the breakaway group. After 20 kilometres, we had 13 men go down the road, and he clocked off to Cioni and caught up with the 13, making 15 men. He went away with Ferragato from the Alessio team, so they went after 20 kilometres, so they've been out there an awful long time now. It built up until we had 35 riders. They're now slimming down, but Cioni's doing the right thing. He's sitting at the back and letting the rest race hard. A young developing rider, actually, born in Reading, and the Italian having been schooled in the mountain bike arena to begin with, but he decided that he wasn't going really getting anywhere in his mountain biking. He was just there or thereabouts at international selection for the Italian mountain bike team, but thought he would then change over to slim wheels, and he's done very well indeed. Watched him last year just getting the feel of it, and he's come into this race as part of the Mappe squad and has been already fairly active. We saw him on the second day getting stuck in, and now here he's on day 4 at the back of that little group too as well. So a bit of British interest in there for Cioni, Darrow Cioni from the Mappe team, sitting at the back of this little group doing the right thing. There we are, 20 kilometres to go. They drop down into a bit of a valley, and then we've got another second category climb, the Col de Courte de Garde, and that will be 16 kilometres to go to the top of it. So he's got about 4 k's of climbing, and then off the top of that down into the valley 5 k's, and back up into the finish at Mont Faron. Right up there. Been a bit chilly at the top, by the way. The clouds have been coming down and stopped the delightful view that we get down into Toulon off the top of the climb of Mont Faron. And it's been very much one that's been featured in the past in the Pyrenees. And Sean, you've been over it a few times. Is it one that strikes sort of fear in the hearts of the riders when they come? Because there are some climbs that get some sort of reputation over a period of time. Is this one the sort of race when they start out this morning and say, my God, we're going over a nasty climb ahead? Does Mont Faron strike you with that sort of fear, or is it just one you've got to get over?
Well, it does strike everybody with fear, more so the guys for the general, because it's a climb where you have to be, you know, in a very good position at the bottom. Although this year they're coming off the side where the road's a bit wider. The usual side that I did it on, it was a narrow road, so it was more important again to be in the first 20 because it's a narrow road, a lot of corners. But you know, it is, you know, if you ride with a bunch especially, it's very difficult because there's a race really to the bottom of the climb, and that makes it very hard. Where the position they're in now, you know, they have a group of 20 riders, 25 riders coming to the climb. It's a bit easier. It's not as dangerous, so it'll be a bit more relaxing for the riders.
Well, one man has decided to try and do it all on his own those last 20 kilometres. That includes the second climb and the big first climb of Mont Faron. They're still out there in the front. Then for the Big Mat Aunque 92. Big Mat, by the way, is a great big supermarket that specialises in do-it-yourself and you know, sort of the things that your local plumber and builder's merchant would like to have to do the jobs about the house. So that's our Big Mat. Aunque 93. Aunque is short for Aubervilliers, which is on the north side of Paris, the department on the north side of Paris, and the they've always felt to the local council they'd like to support cycling. They've always been very much interested in it, and so they got involved in sponsoring a smallish team. It grew with Big Matt's contribution. They've also had IBM as a co-sponsor, I think, in the Tour de France last year. Not one of the biggest funded teams. They do the best they can in the circumstances to battle with the big guys and to try and do something to get publicity for their sponsor. Now, whether they'll make it for the Tour de France, I don't know. They made it last year, and we didn't see much of them, and some of us are very upset that Jeremy Hunt, who got the British Championships down in Cardiff just a week before the Tour de France started, didn't get selected, with a chance he might have got in amongst some of the early sprints, but no, he didn't exactly make it, and so that was it. Garcia Casas then riding for them now. He's come into the squad with a good background, by the way. He used to ride with the Festina team, and a very experienced rider indeed. Garcia Casas gone away there, because Festina folded last year. Coming this season, he had some 5 victories, and he's ranked number 70 in the UCI classification, so they can't really let this bloke get too far down the road, I don't think, because he does have that little edge when it comes to climbing in the mountains. And I say one of the ex-Festina riders now up there in the lead and pedalling away off the front of this pack. Probably a sort of mountain, I think, which may suit him, and freed of the work he used to do with Festina as a bit more of a domestic, now working hard on the climb for the Big Matt Ober. And 17.3 k's it is, it says there, and bearing in mind that the top of the climb of the second category climb is 16 kilometers from the finish. He's not got far to go, and he hasn't done too much damage though. These are what I think should you worth power climbs, Sean, or how would you rate them? They don't seem to be what I call leg breakers. They just seem to go on and on and on.
Yes, well, they're not the real steep climbs where you have to go to a very low gear. They are more the power climbs, as you said, and the one up to Mont Faron, that's a bit more steep, and you have to go in a lower gear, so it would suit a climber better on the Mont Faron. And as you said, Garcia Casas, he's a good climber, and they cannot allow him to get too much ahead. Otherwise, to catch him on the final climb, it will be difficult for him. 20 seconds at the moment. So if you allow him any more than that, it would be difficult for him to come back on a climb like this.
Well, he's been a pro now for some 10 years, so he knows what he's letting himself in for. Ridden with Festina right the way since 1996, so he's a newcomer to come out of those ranks. Before that, he rode with the Artiac team, and here he is out the front now with the colours of the French squad. Coming up, the numbers of that group. We're hanging on. Give them to you a moment. Sean jotting them down for you, and we'll update them in just a moment. Fair number still in this group, hence the long pause. Sean now counting them for you, so we can identify how many there are there. Yes, Sean?
25 riders.
25, so it's still at 35, there's still a fair number left there. There's 30 seconds of gap then between the leader at the moment, Garcia Casas, and so most of that little lot are there, but the great thing is to take out those who haven't made it. But certainly we can see the Bonjour team still working hard at the front here in the blue jersey, the yellow jersey just behind of Roos, the overall race leader. 3 minutes 10 seconds, by the way, back to the main group, so that certainly is curtains for them, because over the top of this climb they've only got that final run in of 16 kilometers. So from this group we're going to see eventually the stage victor today, and presumably by the time we get to the finish in Nice on Sunday, we'll probably find the results then of the overall race. The Paris-Niza, the 60th version of the Paris-Niza, rescued at the last moment by the Society of the Tour de France because it did run into some financial trouble. There are 15 Ks to go. Phonak, one of our co-sponsors. Said something about Jalabert there. I don't quite know what it was, but
Jalabert is on his own. He hasn't got any teammates left for him in this leading group.
So there we are. That's the gap is called 32 seconds according to my watch. Back to the group here. That last time. There you can see that on your screen. Then in fact they've got down to 30 seconds and the peloton at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So I don't think I'm going to bother to time that one for you. Back to them. We'll go back to 0 on the watches. Roos doing just the right thing, staying up the front. Jalabert not far away from him. And you're watching this on Eurosport, the first big coverage. We're bringing out cycle racing, and ahead of us we're going to have plenty of action for you. And you can see Roos coming through here onto front 2 yesterday here, and I think that's Jalabert not far back from behind him. Is this attempt to split it, Sean, or just to stay out of trouble for the yellow jersey to go on the front?
Well, I think the yellow jersey, we see him, he's very active in this group, and it proves that, you know, he must be in a good form. He must be feeling well, because for him to do that, he still have quite a few teammates around him. There we see Benetton, Chavanel, there was a few of them with him. So I'm surprised really that he's right in the front, you know, so early, that he's not waiting until the final climb, because I think you know, he's good enough to match the best of him on the final climb. But maybe he thinks Jalabert is under a bit of pressure, so he's testing him out and see could he take some more time from Jalabert, because you know, 2 or 3 seconds of an advantage is it's not sufficient really. It's a dangerous one.
There are confirmation of the top 3 over there, and we've still got 25 men here, well 24 and a bit, because one's down the road, over 3 minutes ahead of the main group. So if you're with us, stay with us and come back after the break for more. You're looking at the leader on the road at the moment on this stage of the París-Niza, taking the riders to that finish at the top of the Mont Faron, stage 4 of the race. And out there in the red and yellow colours is the rider Felix Garcia Casas, who joined the Big Mat Ober team from the Festina squad. He's been a good hitter for the Festina squad, won about 4 races in his time, but most of the time working as a good domestic, but he can climb, and he's obviously taken his chance now, been a pro for some 10 years, as has the man in the yellow jersey. You see him second in line there, because Didier Roos turned pro in 1992, and amongst his successes, he won a stage in the Tour de l'Avenir way back in 1994, and then went on to get stayed in the Tour de France in 97. Also a good time trialist. He won that in Castres and the Criterium International. We're going to be bringing, by the way, the Criterium International on Eurosport, not this coming weekend after this one, but the one after that. We're going to be also covering the Semaine Catalana. That'll be in not next week, which is a blank week, but the week after that. More or less normal service being resumed on Eurosport. I'm David Duffield. With me is Sean Kelly, 7 times victor of the París-Niza, amongst his other massive selection of results over the years. So Eurosport, again, a good program of cycling ahead of you, and now thanks to those who welcome us back after the winter break. Yes, we've been anxious to get back in the saddle, and I've had a question here from John Adams, who was asking about the coffee bikes and so on, about his getting it on his analog satellite dish. I'm not an expert in these things, John, but I do understand that the analog system is still being used across Europe. Those who are watching back in Great Britain, the majority of you will be picking up a British Eurosport. You'll see it in your top right-hand corner where it says Eurosport Live. Ahead of that, it'll say British Eurosport Live. That is the digital service which you'll be picking up there, and some of you may also be getting the analog service, which goes across the whole of Europe. A bit complicated, I know, technically there. Don't want to confuse you, but there's been rumours that the analog system will be switched off. I don't know how they're going to do that, because we use the analog system all over the rest of Europe, and if you wanted to listen to the English version and wanted to tune your analog set in, say, in Russia, where we're picking up out as far as Stalingrad, for instance, you wanted to pick up Eurosport, you could do so, and even pick up the English if you chose to do so. We broadcast in either 18 or 19 languages across the road. 90 million homes can receive Eurosport, and I think the analog system may well, John, but I'm not an expert in these things, be still held there. But the British Eurosport is worth having. The quality which you're getting on digital is going to be, and is now, a lot better than the analog system. That's why many people are switching to digital, not only with television, but also with radio as well. well, and progressively, a bit like when he went from black and white to colour, you'll get better pictures, you'll get an ability also, a better sound, but you need to have a digital set for it as well. Eventually people will be buying those naturally, people are doing it now. And also you've probably seen on your televisions very often there's a black line at the top and the bottom. It's because many of these digital sets now are the shape more attuned to those you see in the cinema, a bit more rectangular than semi-square as you get at the moment. So that's why you see that black line very often for films and so on, because they're aimed at the digital. And of course there are some of the new digital systems coming in where you can, for instance, in a football match, decide to concentrate on a particular player or a particular piece of action, or get your own slow-mo action and something else. All very complicated if you want to follow it to that degree, but most of you still with the old steam analog. Yes, we're still going full blast at the moment, and but those of you watching on British Eurosport, welcome also to our coverage. And you can see the background there, whether you're on digital or analog, that the crowds have been sort of gathering. It was very damp this morning when we set off. We'd had a flurry of rain. There's been clouds hanging over the finishing area too. A good number of people beginning to go up there on this very famous Mont Faron to see if the French can dominate the race yet again. They did so yesterday. Jalabert won the stage, Rousse took the yellow jersey, and they're in this breakaway group now going to the outskirts of Toulon, heading up towards the final finish of the day. Well, Sean, how do you read it?
Well, our leader out there 18 seconds, and there's 24 riders, but the Bonjour riders are very active. Simon is setting a pace in the front. We see him here now in our heli shot. Benetton was also setting the pace, so Rousse is still, you know, still piling on the pressure, and he must feel quite good when he's doing that, because he must feel very comfortable and he feels confident for the final climb. And as I said earlier on, it was surprising to see him take the front on a few occasions in the set. So it will be an interesting final, but you know, down to 18 seconds, it's going to be difficult for our leaders to stay out there when these guys start the climb, which they're just at the beginning of it now.
And a bit splattered across the road. Here they are. Nobody really wants to take the initiative except Rousse, just at the head of that little shape. But he's not going to be too worried about Felix. Did you watch out to where he is at the moment on general classification, Garcia Casas? I don't think he's in fact where he is, he was this morning 38 seconds down, so at the moment he's sort of got himself near to being technically race leader on the road, but I think it's coming back a bit now. Was the last time check 10 seconds, was it? Or have I
he's 18 seconds, and he's back up to 20 seconds actually, so we can see here there's nobody setting the pace in the moment. The Bonjour guys, most of them have disappeared now. They've done their work, so you know, it's steadied up a bit, so he's pulled out the advantage again to 20 seconds.
So that's the man then out there. Garcia start this morning 30-second spot, 38 seconds down for the Big Mat Ober team, and well, whatever happens, you're going to move up from 32nd this morning. We started the stage today from Pertuis to Mont Faron, 175 kilometres, that's 109 miles in all on stage 4, with no less than 49 riders inside 1 minute of the yellow jersey, Didier Rousse, but not many of that group have managed to stay up there with him. Vinocroft is in this group. He's 26 seconds down this morning on Rousse. We also know that I think we've got Voigt in there, who was this morning 13th at 27 seconds, and so they are the main threat, I think, overall at the moment in that group. Looking down the list, Kivilev, 46 seconds down this morning. He's in that break. By the way, not with him at the moment, Cuddle Evans from the Mappe team has been doing a useful ride. He finished at 41st on general classification, 41 seconds down on general classification. I spoke to him yesterday, another mountain biker who's turned to riding on the road, as has the rider from the Mappe team, Dario Cioni, who the last I saw was sitting at the back of this little group. And looking down the list, I think Dario had a bad day the other day, so he's not really in contention on the overall classification, but the only Mappe man that's made it. 250, you can see the gap back now to the main peloton, 24 seconds. They're leaving a bit out to Fry, is the poor rider from the Big Mat Ober, Felix Garcia Casas. But he's looking pretty sprite at the moment, Sean.
Yes, he certainly is. He's still holding on out there on 24 seconds of an advantage. It's, you know, he's doing very well. There's the Bonjour guys are still trying to set the pace, but I think the sting has gone out of them at the moment.
Bonjour, they keep playing the cards here. They got on the front earlier on and drove this thing and split the whole field, and then one by one dropped off the back. Seems to have got some breath back come again. So again, Bonjour driving hard at the front. It's 21 seconds the gap now back to Roos and back to Jalabert. Jalabert exposed on his own, sitting on the wheel of the yellow jersey, Roos. Sean, what's this last bit of the climb left? We've got 6.3 kilometres here. You know the course. Is it suitable for Jalabert to launch an attack, or do you think Roos can control him? It's difficult, I know, if you just sort of to speculate on this, but those two riders, Roos seems to have a better set of legs than we've seen him for an awful long time, but Jalabert, well, what's the chance?
I think we will see some attacks. If Jalabert has got the legs, he will definitely have a go, but Roos, he seems to be riding very strong. He's taken the front of the group on occasions that we've seen, so we will definitely see some attacks from some of those guys. That is a definite, but you know, this guy is he's still holding out there 24 seconds, but the Bonjour guys, after doing it, you know, an unbelievable ride today. We see Chabanel, he's still setting the pace there on the climb. So you know, it's been a good day for Roos, because if you look at the bunch at 250 at the moment, well, for those guys it's over, and you know, the amount of favourites have lost out today. There's a quite a number there. There's at least 6 or 8 of the riders who are very capable of winning the race, like Basso, Claude, and Zulle, Frigo, Moncotti, Vichosa. All of those guys have missed this move.
So on that basis, if they don't get a move on, they've lost out in the overall race, and it could be down then tomorrow in that run up toward the Col d'Ez, or I forget where it is now, between the chaps who are in this breakaway group here. What about Vinokurov, though? How do we rate his chances? Because he's let the rest of them do the battering, haven't they? And he's sort of been just sitting in the bunch then, following the wheels. What about his chances today?
Well, he's in a perfect position. He's up there in this group. He did not miss the move. I think Vinokurov in the climbs, he always has a bit of problems. He's not the best of a climber. He's a very strong rider, but he's limited on a climb like this on Faron. So I think he will just try and follow these the likes of Jalabert and the likes of Roos, and just not lose any time to them today.
Well, if we look at the group and look at the people who started this morning within 1 minute of the yellow jersey, there's only about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe about half a dozen only have made it into this group. So I think it might have caught them a bit by surprise. A lot of the top men have been perhaps watching each other. I'd want to say top men. Roos and Jalabert are the top men, first and second overall. But do you get the impression that too many of those chaps, Sean, we've got people like Zuller and Frijo and Crest, all that lot there, have missed the whole thing? Would it be an indecision to chase this down? Because with all due respect, other than Roos and Jalabert, Vinokurov, Voigt, Garmendia, Kivilev, there's about half a dozen. The rest of that 35-man group were obviously also rounds, they were out of the frame. Is that the danger this time of the year, to miss out?
Well, it's a danger any time of year, but you know, it's something that can always happen. And when you get a little bit of side wind and you get a team or two who just start riding and put everybody into the side of the gutter, when we see them hanging there trying to get shelter, and that's what happened today. The Bonjour guys did that. They knew the occasion. They probably knew the road quite well. They knew the direction of the wind, and a lot of riders get caught out. But when you have 35 riders up in front, it's difficult for the guys behind to chase, because if all those guys are riding, well, then it's almost impossible to come back. It's different if you attack on a climb. You see some of the good climbers like a Zulle, like a Frigo, Claude, and those guys can come back to you on the climb. But when you go on the flat into a wind, well, then you have 35 riders, and if they all ride, well, then it's very, very difficult to pull them back.
They were young viewers back there. If you're interested in cycling and listening to this, I'll tell you, you've bunked off school if you can hear it live this afternoon, by the way. But if that's your dad's recorded, you're listening there. That's the voice of Sean Kelly, 7 times victor of this race. And Sean, I'm sure, won it sometimes not only on his ability to ride these legs, but to read it, the race too, as well. And today, some of the chaps back there who we've got in the short list of success for this year's Paris-Niza, they've now missed the selection. They just didn't use their heads. The legs haven't been able to pull them back. So now, with Roos driving this one along, the field fairly strong round about him, and the leader looking here for a chance. We've got, yes, 4 kilometres to go toward the finish. Well, it looks like he's going well, but Sean, why would the yellow jersey be sat there driving so hard the front with Jalabert round about him? Would you do that if you were in Rous's position? I mean, we don't know what his legs are like, but it does seem to me he's not dominating it, he's just riding on the front.
Well, it's difficult to know. You know, he can be feeling very good, but also if you set a pace in the front, well then the other rider's not, you know, not going to attack as much. Where if you slow it down, if you haven't got a teammate to set the pace, sometimes you've got to do that yourself. Start setting the pace and you bluff it a bit. They think you're going very well, and you may be suffering quite a lot. And you know, they were just following the wheel. And some riders like that. They like to just ride a steady pace, because if they start attacking on the climb, they're not able to go with the attacks all the time, and that kills them. So maybe, I'm not sure of Rouse what way he climbs. He might like just a steady, strong climb than rather to be jumping around all the time.
Well, he's certainly making a good job of it here at the front then. The man who joined the big Matt Elber team in some way, I think already he has repaid the confidence in the team manager to select him to ride with their team. And looks like he might be in for a chance of getting towards 3 kilometres to go to get the victory today. I think the rest behind. But bear in mind, there's 10 seconds bonus for the first man over the line, then 6 and then 4 in that order. So Jalabert would like to steam round here because he lost a second further back on one of the sprints to Rouse. So the gap between the two is now about 3 seconds between Rouse and Jalabert. So Jalabert ought really to get his skates on and get away and try and just punch a bit of tap if he's looking for the yellow jersey too, or perhaps he's just bluffing at the moment on his strength and just got to stay behind Rouse. But he's leaving it a bit late, Sean?
Well, I think it's still possible. It's just they're only about 10 or 12 seconds in it, and we see he went past the 4 kilometres, so he's just coming up. It's what, 3.5 kilometres to go. I think somebody who can come out of this group very fast can still come back and take the stage, because 10 seconds would be pulled back very, very quickly.
Well, still then the leader hanging on Felix. Garcia Casas is just out there. The angels are up there. We've seen the devil. We've now got another rather rotund angel to it. Now the attack is coming then. It looks like Jalabert has decided to start to do something about it then, but 8 seconds only as Jalabert looks back then. And where's the yellow jersey? It looks like suddenly his legs have gone to water. He's nailed to the tarmac, and Jalabert is going away. He's caught then. In fact, he's been overtaken. I think it's Moncuti from the Cofidis team. Certainly the Cofidis rider in that group has come up there and doing the damage. Vernukrov is there in the pink and the black for Telecom, just behind Jalabert in the red and white for the CSC Tiscali team. And this is how we're looking at Jalabert. Looks back, sees that Rouse is in danger. And Moncuti then, a useful climber, just ahead of Jalabert. Then Vernukrov. Not a lot of damage done then, except the yellow jersey has dropped a little bit further back and probably is grovelling now. Looks like he's losing time. He could be losing the jersey too, as well as Jalabert takes a quick look back. Voigt's climbing well too in the green and white. Voigt then this morning looks like he's going to go well for Credit Agricole. He started in 13th spot, 27 seconds down. Vernukrov started in 12th spot, 26 seconds down. How much of that are they going to pull back on the yellow jersey? That gap certainly will close. He can lose a lot of time, but he's there hanging on for grim death. He may lose the yellow jersey. He might keep second spot. It's then up to Jalabert. Don't forget the Vernukrov start this morning, also 26 seconds back. Moncuti, well, he's way up, I think, further down the list, so he's looking for a stage victory. Some movement to climb up the general classification, but it really is down to Jalabert now, who's looking remarkably calm. Over 150 victories to his long credit over the years of being in there as a bike rider at this level. But Rouse still desperately trying to stay within contention, but having no luck with his legs.
Yes, I think Rouse, he was setting the pace just to you know, to keep a steady pace, and he probably knew that he wasn't ready. Like if the guy started attacking him, we see that when Jalabert went to the attack, he was immediately in trouble. He just hadn't got the legs.
Oh, the gap's going up now. Get the old watches out then, because Vernukrov and in this little lot here. Voigt, I think, is just beginning to lose a bit of ground. Yes, so there we are. Moncuti, together with Jalabert, Vunderkrop prize themselves away for that two-man group, including Voigt, and a lot further back. Cioni at the back, just dropping off the pace too as well. He's still with the yellow jersey group. Kazar back there too. And I think at the moment now, looking at that certainly we're seeing this thing turn on its heels. Who is the chap from La Française des Jeux at the moment there? Who is it, Magnan? It's Robin, isn't it? 167. Yeah, it's Saint-Cyr Robin. Voigt now is just hammering away on his own. We just passed him. Robin, one of the white hopes of French cycling some years ago, had gone into a sort of plateau really, but he's just back there, still in no man's land. The yellow jersey having to work hard, and we're going to watch on our countdown time to see what's going to happen to Vunderkrop. Certainly Jalabert is on his way to take the yellow jersey at this rate of knots. He's only about 3 seconds down on the general classification as at this moment. There's Vunderkrop. 15 seconds is the gap back coming over our headphones between Jalabert, Vunderkrop, Moncuti. There it is, 15 seconds. Well, that will be certainly enough to put Jalabert with a 10-second bonus into the yellow jersey. But this morning, Vunderkrop started out 26 seconds down on Roos. He's still got to do a lot of work to take the yellow jersey or close up on the jersey, with Jalabert in really the pound seats, or should I say the euro seats, because Jalabert certainly cannot now, with only 2 kilometers to go, surely lose the wheel of Vunderkrop, who's preferred, I think, at the moment to sit there. And then Roos is really digging deep. He's been obviously holding something back, Sean. Is this just a desperate move on his part, or do you think he went back for a breather?
Well, you definitely don't go back for a breather at this moment, you know, but sometimes you can have a little bit of a problem, and you know, you get through it, you go on for a kilometre, and then you come around again, you start to find your rhythm again. And Kovalev, we see here, who is, you know, in this leading group with Vunderkrop and Jalabert, he's attacking him again. He's been very strong. He's setting the pace for quite a while here, and he's the guy who did the damage. You know, after Jalabert attacking, Kovalev took over, and he really put a distance between them. Vunderkrop now is counter-attacking, which is surprising. Vunderkrop, he's not a great climber. He hangs in there, but to see him climb like this, he's on a very good day.
My apologies to the couple of supporters. There were so many riders in there. It is Kovalev that's gone there. Well, Kovalev riding from Kazakhstan, so we had 2 Kazakhstan riders together with Jalabert. And the way that Vunderkrop has gone away now at the moment, this is going to be quite interesting, because I said to you earlier on that he started this morning at just some 26 seconds down on Didier Roos. Roos got a 3-second bonus at one of the intermediate sprints, so technically 29 seconds between Vunderkrop and Roos, but bear in mind also that there are 10 seconds bonus for the first man over the line. Jalabert seems to have lost a bit of steam at the moment, because Voigt has now come up to him, and there number 24 is Kovalev from Kazakhstan, who doesn't seem to be able to accelerate again like his countryman did as Vunderkrop has gone away. Jalabert on that special lightweight bike was pretty certainly changed about 15 kilometers down the road to a bike to climb the mountain. He's got those special, I think, ADA lightweight wheels there. It looked like it from the large sized centres. Just listening to the time check coming over, 20 seconds then to Vunderkrop, coming up towards 1 kilometre to go, and despite that lightweight bike that Jalabert is riding on with the special ADA lightweight wheels that he's there, with a sort of large flange hub in the centre there, it looks a bit heavy, but it isn't. It's one of the lightest set of wheels you like to get, which is what you want to climb up here, but he's going to have to work hard then to catch up with Vunderkrop. at 38 seconds now then. Well, bearing in mind then that this morning Vunderkrop started out just some 24 seconds down on Jalabert. Jalabert's pinched an extra couple of seconds in one of the intermediate sprints, but the 10 seconds bonus at the front. So technically Vunderkrop is riding into the yellow jersey. Jalabert has to do something about it. It doesn't look sure that he's got the legs.
No, he certainly doesn't seem to have it now, because this is the moment, you know, to make or break. And if he had anything, I think he would have a go, and he should be right in the front, because to allow Vunderkrop to take seconds out of him, it's dangerous. So he must be really suffering when he's not able to. You know, we don't see him really setting the pace here at the moment. And when you see riders coming back as well, Voigt came back to join Kovalev and Jalabert, and also Cassar came back there from the front days to do. So it shows that, you know, they're not really going in the group of Jalabert.
Well, Vunderkrop ploughing away here, looking very strong indeed, and that'll please the viewers back in Germany for Eurosport covering this race. Not all the national television stations have turned up yet a while, so Eurosport, they're holding the media, and I'm sure a lot of the German supporters. And of course, we get out as far as Kazakhstan too. We'll be very pleased to see him going up there. Vunderkrop being one of those riders who's always been there or thereabouts, and our minds go back to a couple of years when it was his teammate Cloden who surprised everybody with the final climb up the Col d'Aise of the time trial to win the París-Niza on that occasion. Well, at the moment, the way he's going, Vunderkrop, he's certainly putting Telecom in the Euro seats up there at the front, with the possibility of having that jersey down at the finish on Sunday. But that's a long way yet to go. Big mountainous stages yet to come, and this man here hasn't missed a beat so far, but has he gone slightly too soon? In fact, they've dropped the yellow car behind for Mavic. Mavic now specialising more often in wheels than anything else. Many of the things that they've been supplying over the years, I've seen them with chain sets and so on, don't seem to be part of their armoury any longer. They're very much wheel makers, and undoubtedly they're there to be prepared for a change should a puncture happen here with Vunderkrop. I don't think he's going to do a nice, smoothly sort of road, but a bit chilly too, because the clouds were only just lifted recently, but warming the hearts of the German supporters of this great Telecom team is the man out there on the front of the moment, Vunderkrop. Coming in shortly, you'll see the signs on the side of the road just showing the countdown in metres towards the finish. A well-judged victory, I think, as far as he's concerned. No doubt about it, Sean. This really, he's just kept his powder dry, sat in the bunch then, and I'm certain I'd rate this as one of his best performances. What do you think?
Yes, it certainly is. It's a surprise, I think, to me certainly, and I'd say to a few other people, because on a climb like this you wouldn't expect Vunderkrop to be able to do this. But you know, the way he went away here, and he seems to have about 26 seconds of an advantage over Jalabert, Kovalev and Cassar. So you know, a magnificent ride from him today.
And there he is coming in. You'll see the clocks begin to run there, just inside 4 hours, and Vunderkrop gets that victory. Watch down on the watch the countdown on the clock then, because this morning then, starting out 26 seconds was the time between him and Jalabert. In fact, 24 to be precise, but Jalabert's got a couple of seconds back. So that 26 seconds applies, and will Jalabert take the yellow jersey? Will it go to Vunderkrop? The countdown on my watch is 18 seconds, now coming up to 20, and he's coming up here 25, 26. It looks like Jalabert is his second spot then, 28 seconds minus, oh, this is going to be difficult now then, because Vunderkrop got less than 10 seconds as a bonus, and Jalabert got another 6, so there's 4 between them still. So now it looks like Jalabert has lost out. He hasn't quite made it, according to my quick calculations, the back of a scruffy old envelope here then, that the gap between Vunderkrop and Jalabert in the time bonuses was 4 seconds. Adding to that the 26, so in fact, yeah, it looks like he has got, here comes the yellow jersey. Well, that's gone. He's over a minute down on Vunderkrop. This morning he was 26 seconds ahead of Vunderkrop, so he certainly lost out there. You've seen it here live on Eurosport, the change of the system. So that's certainly a disappointment for Roos, but he gave it all he's got, and his team worked so hard. They're going to be very disappointed, I think, that they didn't get that yellow jersey after working so hard all the way through. But this, I think, is Felix Garcia Casas, who tried to win the stage. Just shows you how much you can lose. 1 minute 40 just into the short space. Well, I think he was still in the lead, 4 kilometres to go. Very useful ride indeed, by the way, for Dario Cioni coming up here, the Mappe rider. I think he'd be pleased with that one, to be up there in the top 10 on such a hard day as this. It's just showing this ex-mountain biker has done the right thing in changing over to narrow wheels, and he'll have the support of the Mappe team on the next few days of the racing. Here then I mentioned about the BMC bike. You can see there's sort of slots in the lugs just below the saddle and below the bottom bracket, but as he comes through and gets books off it, then is still 2 minutes 15 seconds down. Penny numbers it is. Just shows you the distance between that Vingercroft has put between himself and the rest of these riders who are with him at the bottom of this climb. Is that Frigo now? Well, where's he come? 2:32. He came up from nowhere, and this, I think, is Cuesta coming up. So in fact they close it down a little bit, the main pack. Frigo coming in just over 2 minutes down. Well, he's last year's winner of the Tour of the Paris-Niza. He's got to really do something on the stage up to the top at the Col d'Ez, I think, to get his back. The lads from Alacio coming through. So this is what's left of the main field, fragmented and stretched out on the climb up. They close the gap down a little bit. It was over 3 minutes at one time, but it's not enough. And here comes Alex Zuller. Well, he started the morning only 21 seconds down, and Alex, now having won that Tour we saw of Valencia just about a week ago, we thought he was on his way back to win this particular race, but he missed the move. I think there'll be a little bit of chatting going on amongst the team managers with their squad. So having got the Tour of Valencia by the time trial, 23 kilometre, put him up there as the overall victory. There's no time trial ahead for the rider experts like him to pull back the deficit, which at over 3 minutes I think is far too much now for Zuller to get up there at the finish in Nice to win another of the Paris-Niza, which he's done in the past there. And here comes Richard Veronk. A lot of top riders who we were thinking might do something today, Sean. Nearly 4 minutes down, eh?
Well, yes, and all because of you know, they missed that move, which was a tactical move really by the Bonjour riders, and possibly by the CSC. There was quite a lot of them up there, so we don't know exactly who were the two teams who formed this echelon, as they call it. But the Bonjour guys were certainly the ones who were up there in the beginning. A lot of riders caught out, like a Frigo and Zulu. We see him there. Frigo came in at 2.5 minutes. He did a fabulous ride up the climb, considering he was, you know, around 2.5 minutes or more at the bottom of the climb. To do that when you're left behind, because it works on your morale as well, it proves if he had been up there, he would have been definitely one of the danger men for the stage and for the general here. And Azuli also, because 3.5 minutes is not a bad ride at all when you see him coming in after losing so much time in the earlier part of the day, and being you know, the morale wouldn't have been great at the bottom of this climb.
Now, sheer speculation, but we've still got that finish at the top of the Col d'Ez, not tomorrow, but the day after that. Now, tomorrow is an undulating one. We've still got 18 different climbs. It's about the undulating run tomorrow, just one first category climb and lots of smaller ones before we finish on the run from Toulon to Caen, finishing there tomorrow. And then the next day, when we go out from a place called Fréjus to finish in Nice, we've got on the outskirts of Nice that very steep climb up the Col d'Ez. We're looking back on our slow motion here. There was quite a big hole knocked in the time. The teams have got to control this one, and Jalabert's got a very strong team with the CSC team. We've seen the Telecom team a very strong too as well. Bonjour have had a bit of a go today, but do you think it's Telecom, in view of the fact they haven't got anybody except really Vingercroft up there, have a good chance now of controlling, or is it still open and still a possibility that on that stage from Saint Raphael to Col d'Ez we turn upside down, Sean? I know it's very difficult to predict cycle racing, but there must be a few chaps in there who'd like to get their own back.
Well, definitely so. I think there'll be a lot of teams saying, well, we'll make those guys pay tomorrow because they're going to be very unhappy. But with the situation the way it is, Jalabert, he's in a perfect situation. Vingercroft is, well, it looks like he's going to be leader, or, you know, it's going to be very, very close. Jalabert is still in a very good position, very much in contention. So if he's in second position, it's the best position for Jalabert. The Telecom riders are going to control the race. He's going to sit there and wait tomorrow and for Saturday until Col days, and I think you know, he could not be in a better position. If he's in second position, I think is the best position, because then he doesn't have the weight of the yellow jersey on his shoulders for the hard day to Cannes tomorrow.
Well, the Saturday, by the way, they noticed 8 climbs, which 3 of them are first category climbs, and finishing at the top of the Col d'Ez. So Bienerkopf here in the pink coming in to finish the stage for the Telecom team. Strong team he's got round about him, but it ain't over yet, and the fat lady hasn't yet started to sing, and we're going to be finishing down on the right there by the sea. You can see that beautiful sight over there up the top of the mountain here. We'll be finishing on the Sunday with a run into the mountains, and then